exporting a file from Maya to Unity. I've got a simple walk cycle here that it's rubbish and I'm still doing. There's floating bones, the feet, they're point constraint to the end of the IK legs. That's never good. What you should really have for a Unity setup is a skeleton that's all driven by controllers or driven by separate FK IK bones, which I've done. I drove the arm by two different sets. I should have done the same on the legs and avoided this kind of thing. So basically, anyway, to get it out, this is the quick and easy way. If I'd done it the other way, I wouldn't need to bake all my keys, which seems to be the way here, which isn't too bad. It just makes the file size bigger. It'll get through this project anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my hypergraph in hierarchy, and this should be a quick way to select everything that's keyable got to do with my animation. So I'm just going to select all. Okay, now that I have everything, I'm going to go to Edit and Keys and Bake Simulation, which will key everything that's possible to key wherever it's changed. The default settings should do Reset Settings and Bake. So it's having a think, and the timeline now, you can see everything's covered in red. So let's have a look at that. Unselect and hit play. Still my walk cycle, still there, nothing weird's going on. So now that I've done that, the rig that used to drive and move this is no longer useful. We don't want to bring that into Unity because it's just a bunch of transforms and rotations that don't do anything, and it could confuse Unity. So I'm just going to hit delete. By the way, it's probably good to tell you now, you should have saved a new file for this. You don't want to. You may still want a separate file to edit stuff and re-import from. I really don't need these. These were driving the arm, and I had an FK-IK switch. Okay, are they deleting? There we go. So I just have my floating feet, my root, which is everything, and the mesh itself. So I'm going to select the root and select hierarchy, just to be sure I have everything. Then grab the feet and the skin. This is all I really need. I don't need to bring the lights or the cameras or anything else out of the scene. So File, Export Selection is what you want from here. And again, the default settings should be fine. Okay, Export Selection. Now I'm going to export it directly into my assets of my Unity project, and we'll call this Beam Walk Test 1. O-W-A. Okay, I can't spell. There we go. Export selection. Yeah, student version, continue, and I'm going to flip over to Unity. There we go, it just popped in. Okay, and you can see down here earlier, yeah, he looked very different in Maya, but I have exported him several times before for a test, and I put toon shaders on him, and it's remembering that this file and material have the same names, so it's updating with the materials, the toon shader materials I've made earlier, so you can actually see what he looks like there. Okay, scale factor, that's important. 1 to 1, that looks good. If you ever want to test your scale, I'll drag and drop one of these guys into the scene. There he is in the hierarchy. If you ever want to test you're at the right size, it's very important to be at the right size. There's lots of different reasons, from physics to particles to force to level of detail and when bitmaps appear. Don't just go with what scale you like, you'll encounter problems later on. I'm going to make a cube. Now a Unity cube, when you make one of these, it's a good test to scale. One of these should be roughly 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. So that looks good enough to me. He's almost human height. Okay, back to the import settings. Let's get the right one. Okay, I'm going to leave all that in default. The next thing is I am going to make him a humanoid, and we can configure that now in a sec. But I'll leave it for now, and we'll have a look at the animation just to see what's happening. There we go. See, legs are moving, but the feet, it's not seeing them because they're detached. It doesn't like them in the humanoid setup. So if I went generic, that could probably fix it, but I think I want to use some of the humanoid features later. So I'm going to hit configure, and yes, I'll save the scene before I configure. And as you can see here, it's mapped out and it's matched the bones the best it thinks from the root of the hierarchy based on my name conventions, and it's done a pretty good job, except for it's put the foot in as my last IK of the leg when it should actually be the foot. And that is, what foot have I grabbed? I hope that's right foot. Have I? Yes. And left foot. As you can see, it doesn't like it. It's gone red. It's telling me this is not part of the hierarchy, but I'm going to do it anyway. So it's not great to do. It's not great to have floating bones. Done. Now, if I import into my animations, definitely I'm going to want this animation to loop. If I have several more animations, they would all appear as one. What I could do here is I could add animations by clicking a plus here, and then I could rename them, and this could be my next one could be my idle, and the start time would be 25 to 50, and so on. But at the moment I'm just going to have the one. We're just importing. And yeah, we're looping, and I want to apply that. Let's have a look. There we go. Now his feet are working right. Great. So preview. Jolly little chap having a walk. Okay. Now the last bit to actually get it working in the scene. If I hit play, I don't think anything's going to happen. Nope. Okay. Looking at my hierarchy, here he is. I have no animator controller. So what I want to do is make one of them for this guy, and this is my animation tree, where I can make decisions of when he does what. So I'm creating an animator controller. Let's call it Bean Walk. Now when I select that, I can go window, that's an animation curve, animator. That's what I want, and I already have one here, but you can drag and drop it to some space that's nice and open. It will start. We've got an entry, we've got an exit that can end any state. So if it's good, I'll explain all this some other time. There's a lot. I'm going to just make an empty state now, and I just want one empty state that's going to loop, and it's coming in there from entry. As you can see, there's no animation here. And what have I named mine on the way in? I just called it take 00. That's not good. Let's call it walk. Again, I've got lots of bean walks. That'll get confusing. And I need to apply that. So I now should have. Let me just find. Bean. There we go. Where were you? Okay. It's part of the import. Okay. So now under him, you can see there's the avatar information that I was making, and there's the actual animation. I could make several clips and put them in here, and when I open and close him, you can see all the feet and the root and the mesh. Okay. So from there, here's my new empty state, and this will just be walking. Everything's fine. I want to keep the speed at 1. Yeah. Okay, and now the motion. This is the animation, and I will go with bean walk. This should do the trick, and if I go back to my scene or my game view, and I'm going to hit play, nothing happens. Oh dear. What have I done? Look, I've put nothing in the controller. I've made the control, but I haven't put it in here. Right. Now let's just save the scene. Try this one more time. There we go. He's having a walk. And now I have an animator. I can script up the animator so he only walks when the input's pressed. I can make him turn, jump, and all that. Okay, cool. Hope that's helpful.